Today we are going to start a new chapter, that is lesson 8, the verb. Verbs are the action words in a sentence that describe what the subject is doing. Verbs are the action words and they tell us about the action done by its subject. Along with noun, verbs are also the main part in a sentence, telling a story about what is taking place. In fact, without a verb, full thoughts cannot be properly conveyed. So, verbs are very important. The verbs are the heart of the sentence. In this chapter, we are going to study what is a verb and different kinds of verbs. Dear children, a sentence has two parts. How many parts? Two parts. The first one is the subject and the second one is the predicate. Sentence is divided into two parts, that is subject and predicate. Subject gives information about the doer of an action. Subject is the doer of an action. Subject is performing the action, and predicate about the action itself. What is the action, or in other words we can say predicate tells us what we say about the subject. In predicate we come to know what we say about the subject. What we say about the subject is the predicate. Now dear children, look at these two examples written on the board. I love ice cream. I gave Meeta a book. Let us see the first example. What is the subject in this sentence? About what we are talking in this sentence? That is I. I is the subject and rest of the sentence is the predicate. Predicate. In next sentence, again I is the subject and rest of the sentence is the predicate. And in these two sentences, in the first sentence we can see I love ice cream. We can see that the word love expresses an action. So, as this word is expressing an action, it is the verb. And in the next sentence, gave is expressing the action of giving. That is the verb in this sentence. So, dear children, in these two sentences, love and gave express the action. As these words are expressing the action, these are verbs. So, the words that refer to an action or state of being or possession are known as verbs. Some of the verbs are expressing action, some of the verbs are expressing state of being or existence, or some of the verbs are expressing the possession, the belonging. All these are verbs. Now in these two sentences, love and gave are the finite verbs. What is a finite verb? Verb which is having a particular tense. look at this diagram which is showing the different types of verbs which we are going to study in this chapter. Verbs can be transitive or intransitive. Transitive verb or intransitive verb. And intransitive verbs can be the verbs of action or can be the verbs of being. Transitive verb is divided into two parts, that is verbs of action and verbs of being. Now let us discuss about these different types of verbs in detail. First of all, we'll discuss about transitive verb. Now in this sentence, I love ice cream. Love is a verb. And the word ice cream completes its meaning. I love what? If simply we say I love, there will be a confusion. Sentence seems incomplete. So, I love what? We get the answer ice cream. So, dear children, ice cream is a word which is completing the meaning of the verb. It is an object. It is the object of the verb. As this verb is having an object, we say the verb is transitive verb. The verbs which are having an object are called transitive verbs. So transitive verb means it is having an object. Having an object. Object means, object is a word which completes the meaning of a verb in a sentence. Now, in the second example, I gave Meeta a book. I gave Meeta a book. In this sentence, we know gave is a verb. Action of giving is expressed by this word gave. So, I gave what? I gave what? I gave a book. I gave whom? I gave to Meeta. These two words are completing the meaning of the verb in this sentence. So, these two words are objects. In this sentence, there are two objects and gave is a verb. As this verb is being completed by these two words, Meeta and book are completing the meaning of the verb. So, these are the objects. Now, one object is the direct object and another one is the indirect object, and usually the answer of what is the direct object, a book is the direct object and Meeta is an indirect object. Now you have studied that in transitive verb is having an object, and object are the words which are completing the meaning of the verb. Objects can be one, in a sentence there can be only one object, or in a sentence there can be two objects. If there is only one object in a sentence, we simply call it an object, and if there are two objects in a sentence, we call them direct object or indirect object. Now, dear children, I will tell you how to find out an object in a sentence. There is a process how to find out an object. First of all, the first step is you should know what is the subject in a sentence. My granny is the subject. Then you should know what is the verb in a sentence, which word is expressing an action. Here, told is a verb. Now, first of all, you should know what is the subject, then you should know what is a verb in a sentence. And to find out an object, you have to ask two questions soon after the verb. How do we ask? My granny told what? My granny told what? And second question is, my granny told whom? These are the two questions we ask soon after the verb. Told is the verb, and after the verb we are asking these questions. My granny told what? What is the answer we get in our sentence? My granny told us a story. So the answer we are getting a story. Now we ask second question. My granny told whom? Whom the story is being told? The answer we get us. Here we are getting two answers. Answer of what and answer of whom. So third step is, after finding out this answer, the fourth step is to compare your answers with the subject. If your answer is different from the subject, we say it is an object. If it is similar to the subject, we do not say it is an object. Now, a story and granny. Granny is the subject and answer is a story. Story and granny are completely different from each other. So, we will check now next answer, granny and us. Granny is somebody else, us is somebody else. So, this answer is also completely different from the subject. As both the answers are different from the subject, we say these two answers are the objects of the verbs. Now, dear children, I told you when there are two objects, two answers, one object is the direct object and another one is the indirect object, and usually the answer of what is the direct object and the answer of whom is indirect object. So here us is indirect object and a story is direct object. So these are the rules we follow to find out an object in a sentence. First of all, you should know what is the subject. Second, you should know what is the verb. Third, you should answer question soon after the verb, what or whom. And the fourth step is comparing your answer with the subject. So, I hope all of you understood this topic. What is a transitive verb? A transitive verb must have an object to complete the meaning of the verb. Transitive verb is always having an object. A verb which is having an object is called a transitive verb. I hope you understood this much. And in the next class, dear children, we'll discuss about intransitive verb, verbs of action and verbs of being. Thank you.